Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The streets of New York hummed with life, unaware of the storm that was about to engulf them. Bruce Banner, always cautious, moved through the city like a shadow, careful to avoid attention. He'd found a way to blend in, to exist without the world noticing. Dressed in a worn jacket and jeans, he looked like any other overworked scientist. But beneath the quiet exterior, a constant struggle simmered, a battle to control the force of destruction that lived inside him, the Hulk. He'd been working at a research lab downtown, focusing on gamma radiation and how it could potentially cure certain diseases. His colleagues knew him as Dr. Banner, a reserved, brilliant man who avoided the spotlight. They didn't know the full truth, and that's not how he preferred it. Meanwhile, across town, Peter Parker swung through the city, feeling the wind rush past his face. He loved the freedom of being Spider-Man, the rush of responsibility tempered by the joy of helping people. After taking a break to grab photos for the Daily Bugle, Peter was back in action, scanning the streets for trouble. There was always trouble in New York City, but that's what kept life interesting. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the skyline, both Bruce and Peter felt a strange, unsettling sensation, a pull, like gravity shifting under their feet. Peter perched atop a skyscraper, froze mid-swing. His spider sense flared wildly, a sensation that made every hair on his neck stand up. Something big was coming. Bruce felt it too. His heart rate spiked, and he could feel the Hulk stirring a reaction to the unknown threat. He closed his eyes, taking deep breaths, focusing on keeping the beast at bay. But it wasn't just fear that coursed through him. It was a sense of being watched. Suddenly, both men were enveloped in a blinding light. For a moment, everything was white, and then the light dimmed, revealing a figure hovering before them. Translucent and ethereal, this wasn't any ordinary vision. It felt otherworldly. Bruce Banner, Peter Parker. The voice echoed in their minds, deep and resonant. The figure was humanoid, but entirely alien. Its skin a glowing shade of blue, with eyes that seemed to pierce through the very fabric of their soul. "I am the Archivist, a representative of the Cosmic Council. You have been chosen." Peter blinked, lowering himself onto the edge of the building, unsure if this was a trick of his spider sense or some kind of cosmic joke. Her chosen for what exactly? Bruce, on the other hand, kept his distance, his body tense. He'd seen plenty of strange things, but this was different. "Troy, what do you want from us?" The archivist's expression remained calm, though there was a sense of urgency in its glowing eye. "An invasion is coming. A race known as the Zytherians is headed for Earth. They seek to strip your planet of its resources and enslave your people. The Cosmic Council has appointed you two as Earth's guardian. You have the power, but more importantly, you have the heart." Peter felt his stomach drop. Alien invasions weren't exactly his usual neighborhood problem. "Wait, so we were supposed to stop an alien race? Just the two of us?" Bruce sighed, mind raced, calculating the risks. He wasn't a hero by nature. He was a scientist. But the Hulk was made for battle. Still, the idea of being Earth's last line of defense was overwhelming. Wycus asked quietly, his voice tinged with doubt. "Are there others, stronger, more equipped?" The archivist smiled faintly, as if amused by the question. "Dry strength alone is not what makes a guardian. You both possess qualities that go beyond your powers. Peter Parker, your resilience, your intelligence, and your unwavering sense of responsibility are unmatched. And Bruce Banner, you harbor a power that can rival God's, but your true strength lies in your ability to control it together. You are Earth's best hope." Peter glanced at Bruce, feeling a weight settle on his shoulders. "Hop, this sounds big. Really big." Bruce nodded slowly, his mind turning over the possibilities. An alien invasion, a planet to protect. And yet he couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't prepared for something of this magnitude. "And if we refuse?" he asked, his voice low, almost hesitant. The archivist's glowing eyes darkened. "If you refuse, Earth will fall. The Zytherians are not merciful. They will conquer and destroy. You may be powerful, but without unity, without purpose, you will fail. However, if you accept, I will guide you. I will help you harness the full extent of your ability." Peter exhaled sharply, the enormity of the situation weighing heavily on him. "So no pressure, huh?" Brucey's gaze remained fixed on the archivist. He had no choice. "None of them did a whole deal. Do it, Trey," he said, his voice steady, TOA. But we will need more than just power. We will need a plan. The archivist inclined its head. You will be trained. There is a place where time flows differently. You will have months to prepare, though only days will pass on Earth. But know this, the Zytherians will stop at nothing to win. They have conquered many worlds before yours. You must be ready. The next moment, Peter and Bruce found themselves standing on a strange, barren landscape. The sky above was a swirling mass of stars and galaxies, as if they were suspended in space itself. This place wasn't Earth. It wasn't anywhere they recognized. Welcome to the temporal field, the archivist said, floating beside them. Here you will train and grow. Time will be your ally. Peter looked around at Westrock. So this is like some kind of cosmic gym. Bruce, ever the pragmatist, ignored the scenery. Harry, what do we do first? The archivist raised a hand, and suddenly the ground beneath them shifted. Stone platforms rose from the earth, and in the distance they could see figures, Zytherians or at least projections of them. The figures moved swiftly, their forms sleek and deadly, armed with advanced weapons. You will learn to fight them. The archivist explained, but more importantly, you will learn to fight together. Bruce felt a surge of anxiety. He'd always fought alone, trusting no one with the monster inside him. But this was different. If he lost control in front of Peter, the consequences could be catastrophic. Peter, on the other hand, bounced on the balls of his feet, trying to keep his nerves in check. Fair, right? Let's do this. The training began with individual exercises. The archivist pushed Bruce to harness the Hulk's strengths in ways he never had before, teaching him to focus his rage like a blade, not a hammer. It wasn't easy. Each time Bruce tried to control the Hulk, it fought back, roaring within him like a caged animal. But the more he trained, the more he began to understand how to use the Hulk's power without being consumed by it. Peter, meanwhile, was learning to adapt to alien technology. The archivist provided him with advanced gadgets, some of which enhanced his agility, others that allowed him to manipulate the battlefield in ways he hadn't thought possible. But the real challenge came when they were forced to work together. Bruce in Hulk form would charge headfirst into battle, relying on brute force to overwhelm the Zytherian. Peter, more strategic, would try to outthink them, using his web-slinging abilities to trip and trap their opponent. But their approaches often clashed. Bruce's aggression sometimes disrupted Peter's plans, and Peter's caution frustrated the Hulk's instinct to smash. After one particularly grueling session, Peter collapsed onto the ground, panting. We were getting nowhere, he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. Bruce, having returned to his human form, sat down beside him. Here it's not you, it's me, the Hulk, he said. Not. Peter shrugged. Maybe not, but we've got to figure out a way to make it work, because if we don't, cheers to toast. Bruce stared into the distance, his mind heavy with doubt. Could he really control the Hulk enough to fight alongside someone like Peter, or would he end up becoming as much of a threat as the Zytherian? Bruce's gaze remained fixed on the horizon of the strange training ground, the alien stars casting a cold light over the barren landscape. Peter sat beside him, rolling his shoulders to work out the tension from their latest failed exercise. The archivist had left them to their thoughts, observing silently, as it often did. Peter finally broke the silence. Look, I know we've had a few rough runs, but I still think we can do this. We've just got to figure out how to stop stepping on each other's toes. He let out a small laugh, or in your case, smashing everything in sight. Bruce didn't laugh. The weight of responsibility sat heavily on his chest. See, not just that the Hulk, he's more than just a weapon. He's dangerous. And if I lose control in the middle of this invasion, I might end up doing more harm than good. Peter glanced at him, his usual humor gone. You were not giving yourself enough credit. You were not just the Hulk, Bruce. You were smart. Smarter than anyone I know. And we need that just as much as we need the big guy. You've got more control than you think. Bruce's eyes narrowed, but he didn't respond right away. Control. It always came down to that. His entire life had been about suppressing the rage, the monster within. But now it wasn't just about keeping the Hulk at bay. It was about wielding him, using that power deliberately for something bigger than either of them. I don't know, Peter, Bruce finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. I just don't know if I can trust myself. Before Peter could reply, a loud chime echoed through the air and the ground beneath them shifted again. The archivist, Sci's voice, filled the space. Your time grows short. The Zytherian fleet is approaching Earth. You have learned much, but there is more to do. The final stage of your training. Bruce stood, his body tense, ready. Peter flipped to his feet, adrenaline already kicking in. The air shimmered in front of them, and a new set of obstacles appeared, a massive fleet of Zytherian projections, ships and soldiers swarming toward them like a tidal wave. This is it, Peter muttered under his breath, his eyes narrowing behind his mask. Let's go. They launched into the fray, Bruce transforming into the Hulk mid-leap, slamming into the ground with a roar that sent shockwaves through the battlefield. Zytherian soldiers, holograms though they were, reacted immediately, firing energy blasts toward them. Peter zigzagged through the chaos, using his webs to disarm the soldiers while the Hulk tore through their rank. They had been here before, countless times, but this felt different. The archivist had warned them that this final simulation would push them to their limits, forcing them to rely on each other in ways they hadn't yet mastered. The battle raged on, and for a moment, it seemed like they might actually succeed. The Hulk's raw power was unstoppable, and Peter's agility allowed him to stay one step ahead of the soldiers' attack. But as the fight intensified, the Zytherians' tactics became more complex. They began to target Peter directly, knowing that without him, the Hulk would lose his strategic advantage. Peter was in the middle of taking down a group of soldiers when a blast hit him from behind, sending him crashing into the ground. He groaned, pain radiating through his body. He tried to push himself up, but another blast hit him harder this time, his vision blurred. Banner, he shouted, his voice strained. I need some help over here. The Hulk turned, but before he could reach Peter, a swarm of Zytherian soldiers closed in around him, overwhelming him with sheer numbers. For a split second, Bruce felt his control slipping. The rage bubbled up inside him, threatening to consume him entirely. He let out a guttural roar, the ground cracking beneath his feet as the Hulk's strength surged beyond even his usual limit. Peter saw it happening and felt a surge of panic. He'd seen the Hulk lose control before, and if it happened here, they were done for. Bruce, no, he yelled, struggling to his feet. Stay with me, man. Don't let it take over. But the Hulk wasn't listening. The Zytherians continued to press in, and with each attack, Bruce's grip on his humanity weakened. His eyes, glowing green with fury, locked onto the enemies around him, and for a terrifying moment, Peter thought he'd lost his friend to the monster. Desperation kicked in. Peter leaped forward, ignoring the pain coursing through his body, and landed in front of the Hulk just as he was about to crush a Zytherian soldier under his fist. Bruce, it's me, Peter yelled, his voice cracking with urgency. You've got to stay in control. You're not going to make it if you don't. For a second, it looked like Bruce might ignore him, but then, slowly, the Hulk's iron fist lowered, and the fury in his eyes dimmed just enough for Bruce's voice to cut through the chaos. Peter nodded, swallowing hard. Yeah, buddy, I am right here. We're in this together. The archivist's voice rang out again, louder this time. You are close. You must work as one, only then can you defeat the Zytherian. The words hit Bruce like a cold shower, and he forced himself to take a deep breath to let go of the mindless rage. He focused on Peter, on their bond, on the mission. Slowly, the Hulk's posture shifted from pure aggression to controlled power. Peter gave him a small, strained smile now that's more like it, ready to finish this. The Hulk nodded, a low growl rumbling in his chest together. They turned toward the remaining Zytherians, their movements in sync now. Bruce channeled his strength more precisely, smashing through the enemy lines with calculated strikes, while Peter used his speed and intellect to disable key targets, creating openings for Bruce to strike. As they fought, the Zytherian fleet above them began to weaken. The archivist had been right. The key to their victory wasn't to track just their individual powers, but their ability to trust each other, to fight as a team. They had finally found their rhythm, and it was unstoppable. One by one, the Zytherian ships fell, and the soldiers on the ground began to retreat. The battlefield, once chaotic and overwhelming, became eerily quiet as the last of the Zytherian forces crumbled. Bruce, still in Hulk form, took a deep breath, his muscles relaxing. He glanced at Peter, who was leaning against a fallen piece of debris, catching his breath. We did it, Peter said, a note of disbelief in his voice. The archivist appeared before them, its expression unreadable. You have passed the final test. You are ready to face the Zytherian invasion. Bruce slowly transformed back into his human form, exhaustion washing over him. I don't feel ready, he admitted, wiping sweat from his brow. Peter laughed weakly, saying, "But I guess we don't have much of a choice." The archivist nodded. "The Zytherians will arrive on Earth in 3 days' time. You must return and prepare for the battle ahead. The fate of your planet rests in your hand." Without another word, the archivist raised its hand, and in an instant, Bruce and Peter were back in New York, standing on the rooftop where their journey had begun. The city below them was bustling, completely unaware of the impending danger. Peter looked out over the skyline, his expression serious. "So, 3 days, huh? We better make 'em count." Bruce nodded, though his mind was still racing. They had trained for weeks, but the real battle was about to begin, and this time, there would be no second chances. As they prepared for the invasion, there was no denying the weight of the responsibility that had been placed on their shoulders. But for the first time, Bruce felt a flicker of hope. They had faced the worst of themselves and come out stronger now. They just had to face the Zytherians and win. The archivist's words echoed in Bruce's mind as he and Peter descended into the city. The fate of the Earth rested in their hands, and though the battle ahead would be the toughest of their lives, they were ready together. They would stand as the guardians of Earth.